Good morning, J Guy here. I got my buddy here, puppy dog. I call him Puppy, and we're pretty good buds. Well, it's a tough day. We're gonna bury Dad today, and it's really gonna be hard for me. Dad was a veteran, so he gets buried with military honors. They usually give the flag to the spouse if they survive the person. His wife is deceased, so they're going to give the flag to the oldest kid, which is me. Whoa. Well, anyhow, I'm going to tell you a little about my dad. He was born June 8th, 1937 in Latham, Kansas. He perished January 24th in 2023 in Wichita, Kansas. Yeah. Before I begin, I wish on behalf of our entire family to express our deepest thanks to all of Dad's caregivers. From the medical staff at his primary care physicians in El Dorado to every doctor and nurse at Ascension St. Francis Hospital in Wichita and Harry Hines Hospice. We thank you. You're angels. You're doing God's work. So anyway, Gerald Lee Guy. I didn't know if I said my dad's name, so. Anyhow, as I said, he was born in Latham, Kansas. And Dad was born in a farmhouse. Put my coffee down here. He was delivered by a country doctor. I think that his dad, my grandpa, had some kind of arrangement with the doctor. He got the baby delivered on a discount, like $25 in a hog. It was a depression, you know. They did bartering. Anyhow, that's how Dad came into the world. Dad was quite the raconteur. He had a lot of neat stories about things like how he went to a one-room schoolhouse with one teacher for grades 1 through 8. He got baptized in a pond when he was a kid. Playing baseball, well, they didn't have organized sports, so it was just a bunch of kids playing in a field, and they ran barefoot and used rocks for first, second, third base and home plate. Oh, and his family attended the Christian church in Latham. And Dad said it was always considered an honor to have the preacher over for dinner, for Sunday dinner. So I bet that guy ate so much fried chicken. So, now, as a youngster, Dad attended that country school. When he was a teenager, he wanted to attend a bigger school than Latham, so he transferred to the big metropolis of Leon, Kansas. Population about 700. There were about 20 in his graduating class. As a youngster, he was known for being quiet and bashful. he said he got over it working at a filling station in the big town of Dorado, Kansas. And this was back in the days of full service gas stations, so his job just entailed all the tasks, pumping gas, washing the windows, checking the oil, the fluids, the tire pressure. And doing this, he learned to talk to people, and he gained experience just chatting with the diversity of people. Well, diversity for Dorado, Kansas, at least. And he just got over that shyness. And his big break in the job world was when he got hired at Skelly, as it was known then, Skelly Refinery in El Dorado, in the chemical lab. He had earned just a lot of chemistry credits at what was then called El Dorado Junior College. And that was pretty rare for those days, so they gave him a job. He started out as a bottle washer. And then he got a summons from Uncle Sam. So this was back in the early days of the Cold War, when they still had a military draft. So he was drafted into the Army, like Elvis, and went to basic training in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, in Ozark country. Went on a ship, spent 10 days on the Atlantic, landed in Germany, and he was part of the Berlin blockade, and he said it was just beautiful country. And he said that sometimes he got lonely and missing his family back home, but he figured, well, I get to see Europe, so he thought that was a good trade-off. He walked amid the mountains of Switzerland. And after he got out of active duty, one night he was with a friend who was also just fresh out of the service, and they went to this shooting contest at the firing range in El Dorado, and they just shot with dead-on accuracy. And some of the people competing in this contest, some of the men were officers with the El Dorado Police Department. And Dad and his friend, they just smoked them, kicked their butts, showed them who the real alpha males were. So that was a Saturday night. Monday morning, Dad gets a call from the police department offering him a job, but he declined. He had other plans. He had just gotten a promotion with the refinery. One of his main jobs in the military was water purification, so he got a job doing something similar to that at the refinery. And he stayed there for something like 41 or 42 years, all through the changes of ownership and name changes. He just stuck it out, persevered. One of my earliest memories of Dad is when I was 5 years old, and every Sunday morning the church bus would come by the house and take me to Sunday school at the First Southern Baptist Church in town. And after church, the bus would take me back home. Well, one day, after Sunday school, I was sitting in a gymnasium full of kids, I remember. I was sitting alone, eating a sack lunch, and then I saw my dad. He didn't usually come, but he was there that day. And he looked so strong and svelte and handsome. And I just remember being really happy to see him. I guess I felt safe with him. I know my dad was really just as average as any other fella, but when I was a little boy, he was 10 feet tall. As I got older, sometimes I spoke to Dad in a manner that was not in the most respectful fashion. I would get rash and impetuous, talk without thinking. He used to say, "You can't shut your damn mouth." Well, that's true. I got a little better at that. But anyway, in his final days, I told Dad, "I'm sorry that I was ever a problem to you." And he said, "Anything you've done is forgiven." I say he was proud of his kids. I've had a troubled life, but at the end, I was able to tell Dad that I'm happy. I've found peace in life, and I'm content. He doesn't have to worry about me anymore. I told you earlier that, well, put it right here, that Dad went to a country school. He had to memorize this poem. It was a poem written by one of the great World War I poets of that time, of the first Great War, composed on May 3rd, 1915, by a soldier and physician named John McCrae. So, a Canadian soldier. And Lieutenant Colonel McCrae wrote this poem after tending to the wounded on the battlefield at the Second Battle of Ypres in northern Belgium. Dad was no bookworm, but even in his old age, he could recite this poem, well, at least partially recite it. And I would like to read it to you. And I send this out in honor and gratitude to Dad and to all veterans and all servicemen and women who serve in the name of freedom and democracy in Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still singing bravely fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. We loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch, be it yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. Thank you. We love you, Dad, and we'll see you later. Well, that's really all I have for this morning. And myself and my buddy, we thank you for tuning in. And I am Jay Guy. We will see you later. Peace.